Good morning. It is an honor to be here, and I love the leadership of this church and all of my Immerse family. You guys are brothers and sisters forever. When I was a young girl, my parents liked to teach me many things, and my parents are here this morning. My mom taught me to be kind to everyone and to do unto others as I would want them to do unto myself. My dad taught me to ride my little red bicycle. He taught me to make sweet apple cider on the back porch, and he also taught me lots of vocabulary words. It was important to my father that all of his children knew how to express themselves clearly. I can remember like yesterday the day that my dad taught me the word tenacious. He said it's like a stick that you throw for a dog, the dog comes back, and you say release, and the dog does not let go. And you tug and you tug and you tug. Those who have dogs know exactly what I'm talking about. And he doesn't want to let go. Tenacious. That word stuck with me, and what I didn't know at the time was that in college I would become a tenacious follower of Jesus Christ. I went off to college, a state away, 1,000 miles away. I was a lonely, broken teenager, so far from my parents and younger siblings, but also hopeful for what I was going to learn. My first quarter, I joined a Bible study with a friend who was in my dorm, and in 2 or 3 weeks, I was asked, "Are you born again?" And I gave them a blank stare and said, "What does that mean?" And they said, "Well, it's when you give your life to Jesus, you ask forgiveness for your sins, and you follow God all the rest of your life." And I said, "That's exactly what I want to do." God so transformed my life, invaded me with his peace and his joy and his love and compassion, and my life was so radically transformed that I started telling people on campus. I asked them, "Do you have just 5 minutes so I could tell you something amazing?" Almost everyone said yes. I told them about Jesus, and at the end I would say, "Would you like to also accept Jesus in your heart?" Almost everyone said no, but that was okay. I kept sharing. I got involved in a Christian group and a local church. I went to every missions conference I could go to, retreat, anywhere I could learn more about God and draw closer to him. I was learning 3 things in college. One was to ask, another was to hope, and the third was to obey. I had read in Matthew 7:7, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you." I was asking God to give me more opportunities to share the gospel with professors and students. I was asking God to help my family and friends draw closer to Jesus. I was asking God to direct my future. I was also hoping in the Lord. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will not walk and not be faint." The word hope in this verse means to wait or to look for with eager expectation. So now as I was asking God, I was also looking with eager expectation for him to answer. He provided opportunities to read the Bible with people who were pre-Christians. He provided opportunities to share about Christ, to pray with people. It was awesome to be waiting expectantly for God to answer. It reminded me of Christmas Day. We've all been kids at one point. Maybe your parents just had enough money for one gift, whatever you had. But something would be waiting, hopefully in your home, on Christmas morning. And I remember my parents got a really good strategy. Sorry. I actually put a Spanish book in here for someone to take home today. So it's heavy. But they would put a present outside of our bedroom door so we wouldn't wake them up till about 8 a.m., right? Very strategic. So all night long, it was very hard to sleep because we couldn't open it until we woke up. But this reminds me of how we wait expectantly, right? God's going to answer. God's going to answer. The third thing I was learning was to obey. I was inspired by Nehemiah, who was told to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem under a lot of distress. Many people came to him and said, "Stop, don't do it. You can't do it. It's not going well. You're not going to finish." And he said, "We're going to keep going, even if we have to hold a spear in one hand and a shovel in the other, but we're going to build until we're done." And they finished the wall in only 52 days. During my last year of college, I felt God calling me to be a missionary overseas. And through a lot of different circumstances, it was the jungle of Peru in South America. A wonderful, wise, kind man. I said, I'm so excited to go to Peru. I really believe God is calling me, but I'm really scared that if I go overseas, I will not meet the man I'm supposed to marry. And this pastor looked me in the eye and said, Jennifer, you do God's will, and God will bring your husband to you. I loved Peru. I loved living in the middle of the jungle, speaking Spanish, living among the people, the only foreigner, living in a little thatched roof hut along in the village, sharing the gospel with anyone who would listen to me, under a mango tree, playing my guitar and singing worship songs in Spanish. I loved going to the farms and learning from the people and teaching in the school, any opportunities God gave me to love the people and to share the gospel. Meanwhile, at home, my friends and my younger siblings were dating, getting married, and having children. This didn't bother me much until I turned about 30 years old. And all of a sudden, some light came on in my heart and said, you know what, Lord, I love being a missionary, but I also really want my own family. I had helped raise 26 children in a pastoral home that we had built, and it was wonderful. I loved foster care. I loved all of that, but I really wanted children of my own. So I started really praying for my husband, not just a little once in a while like I had been, but really praying for him. Many people suggested that I come back to the United States. I could meet someone, I could go back to college, I could do other things, or I would meet a man, a Christian man. But I did not feel called in my heart to come back. And so the third part of obeying, I had to stay. And I said, I will stay and I will continue to share the gospel and disciple and do what God's calling me to do. And God, like he did with Cornelius and Peter, will bring the right man into my life. It was not easy. I had a lot of emotional ups and downs and waiting on God and crying out to God and being patient. But I said, I'm going to keep asking. I'm going to keep waiting expectantly, and I'm going to keep obeying what God has called me to do. 7 years later, my husband and I had our first date. We have 2 friends in common who got us together, and we talked for 5 hours and basically decided that he was the one and I was the one who God had put together. We planned our wedding from long distance because I was in Peru and he was in California. And he had decided he would sell his house in California and join me on the mission field after we got married. We got married 5 months to the day of our first date. Not planned at all, but and he came down with me to Peru, and God over time has blessed us with 2 children, Silas and Liana. We were on the mission field together as a family for 9 years until God called us back and we got to do Immerse. To keep hoping and to keep obeying. Whatever you are asking God for, maybe some of you have a child who strayed from the Lord, or you're praying for physical healing or emotional healing, or a house, a car, a spouse, a child, pregnancy, whatever it is, don't stop asking. Don't stop hoping. There's always hope with God. You know, in Spanish, I know the Bible much better in Spanish than English. And in Spanish, the word hope is esperar. And it means to hope and to wait at the same time, right? It's 2 in 1. I'm like, why isn't there a word like that in English? Right? So it's waiting and hoping expectantly. And then keep obeying God. Even if you receive criticism or opinions that are different from your own, but if you are really centered on what God is asking you to do, obey, and God will do the rest. Thank you.